Hi all, my name is Alistair. I'm 15 years old and I'm in high school. Actually, school is kind of fun. There are a lot of cool stuff to do, and there are friends and parties and different class trips. And even going to school isn't even that bad. There's a lot of fun here. Our school has different teachers, but more often than not, they're old, nerdy women who yell at the whole class all the time. My friends and I don't like them. They're very disliked and punished for their nastiness. Just recently, we caught a bat, lightly stunned it, and put it in the flowers on the teacher's desk. It was biology class. Everything was going on as usual. Suddenly, a bouquet began to move. The biology teacher tensed up, decided to see what was going on. And at that moment, a bat flew out at her. The teacher fell to the floor in fright, and the bat was flying around the classroom. And then Bobby yelled that bats were landing on blonde hair. And what happened? Our girls went crazy. They started running around the classroom, covering their hair with their hands and screaming. The bat was flying overhead in panic. The girls were hiding under their desks, and the teacher was stupidly sitting on the floor. It's true that security came running to the scream and caught the bat, and there was a difficult conversation with the principal, but it was worth it. And our math teacher, this creepy woman, she's always stringing everyone along and demanding that everything be as it should be. So at recess, we moved her teacher's desk to the back of the classroom, and themselves turned their stuff back. In short, the whole class was turned to face the cabinets. The long-awaited bell sounded. We took our seats with our backs to the backboard, and we could hear what happened next. Barely restraining our laughter, we heard the pounding of heels. But then the pounding showed up and stopped together. She yelled so much the windows almost blew out. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal, is it? You didn't have to call your parents to the school, although they shouldn't have. So my dad's walking home from school and he sees this guy around the corner lighting a cigarette. And when he saw it, he came up behind him and yelled, "Drop it, quick!" The dude got scared that the cigarette flew out of his teeth. He turned around slowly and started laughing out loud. It was our history teacher, a young one. My parents hadn't been called to school since, which really unties my hands. In short, we have fun. We hang out a lot with the guys, but it's lately less and less with just my friends. The guys started falling in love, going out with girls and stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind, of course, but I don't get into it myself. It's too complicated, and I don't really like anybody. The day we thought about what kind of trick to do on the physics teacher, he's a dude and a pensioner. There were a lot of ideas, and we did not come to a consensus. The lesson began, and we waited for him. The door opened, and she walked into the classroom. Just a miracle. She was, well, just awesome. It made me want to sing, dance, and laugh and whimper with happiness all at the same time. I just fell into a stupor. For the rest of the class, I sat in silence, afraid to open my mouth, and didn't seem to breathe. The guys quickly figured out what was going on with me and started trolling me after class. I told them to get off my case and went home. It was a hard night. I dreamt about her, woke up in a cold sweat and couldn't figure out what was going on. In the morning came a scary realization. I was in love with her. It was just a nightmare. It was horrible. I didn't want to go to school, but my parents quickly packed me up and drove me. I was hiding from my friends that day. I laughed about their girlfriends and knew they were going to make fun of me now. I didn't want to go to physics, but I had to. She was flitting around the classroom and was covered in sweat. You know, so cold and gooey, like during a horror movie. I felt like everyone already knew that she had already figured it out, and I didn't know what to do about it. I made a face like I didn't care. After class, the boys themselves came up to me. They apologized and told me that they had jumped to conclusions early on. Today, I could see that my face that I despised her. They even tried to explain to me that she seemed nice. She even told interesting stories. I realized that this is the way out. I had to keep playing contempt, and no one would know anything. And I was good at it. After a couple of weeks, people began to wonder why we haven't yet initiated the new physics teacher. We need to do something quick so she doesn't think we're easy. My hair stood on end. I knew it was going to be rough. We threw a snake in my bag for math, put a bloody hand and a severed head in the biology teacher's locker with a note, "Marry me." A bucket of glue and glitter was dumped on the gym teacher's head, and that wasn't the limit. I knew it was going to be something, but I had to save her. The guys thought about it for a long time, and then they suggested recording Napoleon's voice and putting it on her when she was alone. The lyrics were recorded as follows. "Come, my Josephine, I am cold without you. Only your hot embrace can awaken me." And then all hell broke loose. As soon as she went to the bathroom, Napoleon's voice was there. Go alone to the teacher's lounge, There he was again, his voice again on the phone. By evening, she was nervous. She was rushing around the school, obviously looking for company to go home with, but no one was going her way. I panicked about what to do. Tell everything, and then what? The guys would definitely troll me. I was getting aggressive, but nothing came to mind. Then I decided that I had to go with her. At least not explicitly, but at least close to her, because the sense was to scare her when she was alone. And so someone close to her, then not alone. The guys, for sure, had to back off. I pulled my hood over my head, put on a raincoat so I wouldn't be recognized through my figure, and followed her. Her way home was through a park crowded in the evening, but empty at nightfall, a park with a bad reputation. But it was the shortest way to her house. I walked behind, so as not to shine too much light. She walked tentatively, constantly looking around, and I tried to stay in the shade of the trees. Suddenly, there was thunder. Where did it come from? There were no clouds in the sky. I felt uncomfortable. It rumbled once more, and as sharply as Napoleon spoke, "Come, my Josephine, I am cold without you. Only a hot embrace can wake me up." Was scared out of my wits. She screamed, turned around, and saw me in the shadows. With a wild shriek, she ran forward, realizing that I wasn't a ghost, but just the boys. Ran after her. "Stop!" I shouted. "Don't be afraid!" I ran as fast as I could, my raincoat billowing on me like a commander's cloak. There was a sound of thunder again, and again, "Come, Josephine." She ran faster and faster. I could not catch up with her and suddenly lost sight of her. I stopped, began to look around, and at that moment, someone hit me on the back of the head. My eyes went black and I lost consciousness. When I came to my consciousness, I was lying with my head on her lap, and the boys were standing around me and keeping quiet. She looked reproachfully at all of us. I was very ashamed. She said that she basically understood that I hated her, but that she didn't understand why I had to make fun of her like that. I was hurt to tears. I loved her more than life, but my cowardice ruined everything. Everyone was looking at us, and I chickened out again. I didn't tell her how I felt. I didn't tell the boys that they were jerks and needed to apologize. I just lay on her lap and feared that it was all going to end now. She didn't call her parents to the school. She said that from a physics point of view, what we did was actually pretty cool. She's also said that she's been afraid of dead people and the military since she was She said that she's been afraid of dead people and the military ever since she was a kid, so we were right about Napoleon, and my costume really made me look like Napoleon. We also found out that she runs marathons, and we had no chance of catching up with her. Since then, I no longer mocked my teachers. I started to study a lot of history and physics, and I also started to run. And one day I want to run a marathon. And I still don't have a girlfriend. They all pale in comparison to her. I still try to keep a straight face and pretend to despise her, but I don't seem to be doing a very good job. She's just so beautiful and the best. I think I'm not the only one who sees it that way. Our historian often comes in all the time dressed as a rooster, and yesterday he came with flowers, which are now on her desk. In short, I want to tell you all, don't be cowardly and hide behind the fact that you're a tough guy. You should always find your love so you can take your girlfriend to the movies, not walk her out in the shade of the trees and get hit in the back of the head like me. Do you have a girlfriend or boyfriend that you love a lot? You can put her name in the comments, and he or she might read it, and maybe even they'll do the same for you. But in the meantime, give this video a thumbs up and click the bell that you don't miss the next story. Everyone, ciao.